comes with when somebody tells you something. Hey. Hello, hi, and welcome back to my channel, guys. I have been missing for a minute, but I'm back. I have been going through it. I've been down bad. I'm not even gonna lie. I've been down bad. I have been in the darkest of places, and in this chit chat of the month, I wish I could say that it got better. I really wish I could say it got better, but yeah, here we are. One of the things that, I think I've just gotten to the point where I'm done being down bad and I'm done being sad, and I'm going to make it get better for myself. I've been getting all caught up in this Danish Deception story, and just, it's been everywhere. There's no way you could have avoided it. It's all over TikTok, it's all over YouTube, all the social media. And I think it's a perfect story to talk about as we do our chit chat of the month. I'm wrapped up here. I want to be all nice and cozy because it's freezing. It's officially probably winter season now since the end of November. So we have to talk about this Danish Deception story. I mean, I started the TikTok series from scratch. I watched all 25 parts, and I don't really have a lot to say about Onyeka and the red flags, and she should have seen this and she should have done that. I just want to talk about the tactics. Like, we have to talk about the tactics that this guy used and how Onyeka ended up in this situation. She looked like a girl that was, successful, got her own stuff going on. She mentioned in her video that she had bought a house, she was out of debt, and somehow now she's on the hook for over $300,000 worth of what you call it, loans for this person that she was married to. And I must say, if you really look into the story at face value, it's very easy to say to Onyeka, she should have seen the red flags. But I feel like we need to address the tactics as well that this guy used for the situation to end up where it was. And one of the very first things that popped out at me was how very early on he involved her in his dealings and telling her about the queen and all of these things. Like, it's a classic tactic that somebody tells you something, and very often you fill in the spaces with your own imagination. And your imagination is powerful. You can concoct any story, any picture, and start to see yourself as, oh, I'm with this person and this is gonna happen and we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. And in as much as a lot of people are blaming her, I feel like you have to look at, as well, there's an aspect of her wanting all those things. I mean, she was accomplished. She had enough stuff to not want more from this guy. But doesn't it just speak to the fact that you could have everything successfully, career-wise, and it doesn't really mean anything if you don't have someone to share it with? And that's a real reality. I think for a lot of people, especially, for women, it's like, oh, you need to just be happy, be on your own, and just do your own thing, and eventually it will happen, or you'll meet somebody who's aligned and all the things. But it doesn't take away from the fact that as you are on that journey, there's a very real ache that comes with having this dream life and it's just you in it. Isn't that crazy? It's just you in it. And that should be enough. And I think a lot of us work to the point where we are happy and we are feeling like that is enough. But there is still a very big like ache and dream for that person to come along to share it all with. No, it's not load shedding. Where was I feel like we have to talk about it. We have to talk about how much this girl really wanted. I mean, granted, she was on The Bachelor, and we can talk about that until we're red in the face, okay? But all in all, yeah, tactic number one, getting involved in his dealings, her filling in the blanks with her imagination. And I'm not going to give a summary of the whole story. I feel like by now everybody knows what's been going on. But yeah, I think it really spoke to me because I feel like everyone at some point, you can see a little bit of yourself in Onyeka, where you're in a situation where you see what you want to see. You're hopeful. You hold on to the hope so badly that nothing else matters. And another very interesting tactic that he used was always kicking the can down the road. That's another very interesting technique, because when he was even talking about how he had tax issues and his account was frozen, it was going to have an 18-month hold. I mean, 18 months? 18 months? And in that time, they got married, they went on numerous trips. I'm tired just thinking of all the trips they went on.
Screw it, I'm gonna go to Monaco. I go to Barcelona to meet up with some friends. We're gonna go to Brazil. And he's like, well, let's do Paris. And I said, okay. We ended up going to Cabo for one of my childhood friends' wedding. I board a flight and I head to Denmark for the first time. We hop on a flight to go to Nigeria already.
But it's like, that's another thing. Like, we need to get to a point as well where you start recognizing that, when somebody comes into your life and it seems like every day there's something going on, every day it's another story, every day it's another, that is the rest of your life. And I know there are people who will say, oh, there's some exceptions, somebody could be going through something and they're just working through it. But for her to get scammed, or allegedly scammed, to that extent where it was not only her family members, her friends, co-workers, it's insanity. It is pure insanity. But anyway, yeah, I think this month, much like Onyeka's story, has come with a lot of realizations, has come with a lot of even finding pieces of myself that I didn't even know existed. I have had so many conversations with so many friends over this month, and the growth that I have experienced, even just coming to a place where you can identify decisions that the old you wouldn't have made, and you're making them in the present, just speaks to so much growth. I feel like I've grown this month. Yes, it came with a lot of hurt and just being in a dark space, but in that dark space, I won't even say I'm out of it yet, but yeah, it's been hard, y'all. It's been hard. I don't even wanna lie. It's been hard. I think I'm very grateful for very grateful for where I am and the opportunities that I know are ahead of me. But yeah, I think I've reached a turning point now where to get out of the space, I just have to let discipline take over my life for a while and just, do the things that, come back to those little promises that you make to yourself and just rebuild trust with yourself, because that's the hardest thing, I think, to lose trust for yourself. Coming back from that is wild. Coming back to a point where you are even able to find your own identity again, it's like, it's crazy, because you build up this dream and you build up this life in your head about what this phase of your life is supposed to look like and where you want it to go, and you are so determined to make it work that nothing and no one, whatever anyone tells you, you don't listen. You're just like, I know what I'm doing, I trust where I'm going. And when that is shattered and all that is left is you, everything about yourself that you've ever doubted, that you've ever not felt good about, comes right back. And doing that repair work with yourself is the most rewarding, though, I must say. It's the most rewarding work, because that is guaranteed growth on yourself that nobody can ever take away. And reminding yourself of who you are is so powerful as well. Yeah. But you have to recognize the game, that with the intermittent trips, with the intermittent delays and tactics, was classic breadcrumbing. And with breadcrumbing, people with anxious attachments will recognize this, where you almost crave the instability, like the little bit that they give you feels like it sets you on fire, and then it goes away, and now you're stuck in this place where you feel like you need to make that come back. And that's how they're also able to keep kicking the can down the road, because they know, well, the dynamic is exactly that, where they're able to give you a little bit, you come back hot, then they're able to withdraw from you, and you now then crave the breadcrumbs again, and you go in again, and it's like, oh, maybe I'll do this, or maybe we'll do that. It's crazy. And I think, unfortunately, some people, through just learning yourself and even looking at your own patterns of friendships, relationships, if you realize you have a lot of that, where you have the hot and cold, the in and out, and it feels familiar, it feels normal, that is exactly how you find yourself in a situation like that, where any other person would be like, okay, I can't deal with this, it's done. But for you, because that instability, that in and out feels somewhat normal, you're able to take it more. And that's why people that have been traumatized, people that have gone through the most in life, have the highest tolerance for other people's trauma and other people's instability, because you know what it feels like. And it's such a dangerous place to be in, I think, when you look at the fact that this is such an established woman. She is seemingly doing well in real estate and accounting, I think she was in. So being in a position even where this instability, this hot and cold feels normal to her. But also you have to recognize something that I would say is another tactic. She knew deep down that it wasn't normal. Why? Because she protected him from her family and friends. She didn't tell them the full story, and she was silently, seemingly going through it. And I know what that is like. I know what it's like to just be like, you know what, I'm going through it. I'm going to deal with it on my own. I don't need to tell anyone, because number one, nobody's going to understand. But there's a little part of you deep down that knows that something doesn't feel right here and something is not right here. And if I tell my trusted friend or whoever, they're going to call out the things that I'm not willing to face and say, this is not okay. Or for you, you haven't quite even metabolized that this is not okay. Sometimes it's just your body telling you that this doesn't feel right. But your heart and brain and nervous system hasn't caught up. You just feel like you're in danger. And I even remember she would say, because of the time difference, she would go to bed and wake up to news almost all the time when all of the stuff was going on, the hearings, the tax problems, the transfers, all of the things. And that is a crazy state to be in, where you literally feel like your nervous system is on fire because you have these beautiful, happy moments. I mean, she talks about when he came to Dallas for the first time and she felt like he was integrating well with her family and her friends, and she could really see them building this life. And you could say that, well, you know, people need to slow down and take their time to get to know each other, and that all is true. But how many people have you heard tell you, oh, if you know, you know, and they're meeting and in 3 months they've done this and they're married and whatever, you know? It does happen. But I think the thing to question, especially with her, is why did that instability feel normal? Why did she keep it from her family and not talk about it? She knows, obviously, deep down, she would have had the feeling that this wasn't okay, and that is why she protected him. And I don't know if it's an African thing, because largely I think it could be, where you as a woman are expected in some ways to protect your partner even when they could be hurting you. You know, you metabolize it like, okay, this person loves me, they don't mean to hurt me, and so we'll figure it out. But obviously if you go to your close family and talk about things that have hurt you, they're not gonna let it go. So there is an element of, you know, discernment, of knowing what you can and can't share. But there's also another level of, if you're at a point where you're isolated from your family and friends and you're not able to talk about the things that are going on, you know, minus the discernment part, then, you know, that's how, it's another tactic, because when you're isolated, the person is able to tell you anything. And because you're already so deep in it and you're holding on to the hope that everything is going to be okay, that's it. That's you gone. So yeah, the story has just, it has so many layers, and I just feel like so many people are being so harsh with her. But if you really look at it and look at even just little pieces, there's a huge part of even wanting the appearance of that. It's a whole thing on its own, you know. But for this chit chat, I think I just recognize little pieces of myself, and why, you know, you make certain decisions and you find yourself in situations because you're going through all these things and you're patching all these pieces together. And it's so easy to be like, didn't you Google, didn't you search? You find these things and you're like, well, I'm gonna go this way because this is what I believe. And that's also the power of the human spirit. When you have convinced yourself that this is what is gonna happen, you go for it. you don't give up, you fight for it until the end. And a lot of people were saying because she said her divorce was only finalized November 4th, which is not too long ago. That's what, 3 weeks ago. And had he not left her, she probably wouldn't have left him. And I definitely believe that. I think she would have stayed until the wheels fell off, or in this case until he left. And you know, had he stayed and had he expressed the feelings of still wanting to be with her, still wanting to fix things, she wouldn't have gone through all of this and feeling like, oh, because if he could take 200,000 from crypto and Cryptisha, and that didn't make her feel sick to her stomach. She felt sick to her stomach about the 3,000 from her sister. And maybe it's not necessarily about the amount, but it's like the relation. This is her family, like she kept saying, it's her family, it's her family. But I don't know, man. Something is off there for me personally. I feel like even just owing such a huge sum of money and still going on vacation is wild to me. I question those life choices. But all in all, I feel like I get her. I can give her a little bit of grace, because you can see those little pockets of maybe she hasn't matured in certain places in her life and hasn't realized certain things. And people say she comes from a great family and she didn't need all this, maybe greed, name it what you want. But there are also certainly some tactics that this guy put on that I think he saw in her what she wanted. I mean, the life that they were living with the trips and the family and the Europe and the title. You know, I think for her, I would also wonder at the end of it all if he ever actually loved her. That would keep me up at night if I was her. Like, was it all real? Was it all fake? Did I imagine all of this? Was I in this alone? Was I just being scammed from jump? Because I remember even when she talked about was it the trip to Monaco where she fell, or was in Paris where she fell? These people traveled all over. And somehow it was like she had these seizures and oh gosh. Something that I heard that was very interesting was, what is it that made her feel so safe with this person? That would also haunt me, is you had such a giant health issue while you're in the presence of this person, something you've never had before. Why did you feel so safe with them? I don't know. But yeah, I could go on and on. There's so many things. I mean, it's just a lot. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's her real life. It's a story for us and something fun to talk about. But I think it does challenge each and every one of us to just, you know, look at yourselves and look at your life choices, as they say, and how you put yourself in her shoes and say how, you know, I could even end up in a situation like that. What choices would I have made? What would have been my thought process, you know? But yeah, I think seemingly she's a beautiful girl. She'll be okay. Not that seemingly she's a beautiful girl, but seemingly she'll be okay. She's a beautiful girl. She will sell more houses. She'll get out of the hole, hopefully, and take a break from the vacations and giving out her Instagram to strange men. Yeah. Guys, be careful out there. Like, really, really be careful out there. You know, you can slow down. Slow down. That's all I can say. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will be giving you more updates. There will be more videos coming, I promise. I'm just getting it together. Like I said, I've been in a dark place, but I'm crawling out of it, and maybe I'll take you guys along with me. so you can see how I get myself out of a dark place, and we can hopefully all get out of it together. But thanks for watching. Bye.